Yeah, it seems to me like Christians, or maybe not Christians, but just people in general, but when they apply that Christian dogma to themselves, it's like each one is individually different. And so when you start talking about the dogma in general and talking about the Bible in general, they seem to think, oh, well, that's not what I believe. That's not what my God says. It's like, oh, apparently you don't have the God of the Bible.
It's something I'm actually going to talk about on Sunday a little bit, because JT and I are doing kind of a mock debate about country music. He said country music sucks. I said, I'll debate that with you. And we're going to have fun with it. We're going to have fun with it, but I'm going to make some serious points as well, because, and since probably people seeing this won't be here for the debate, a lot of the complaints that come in about country music in particular is, oh, it's too religious. It's too much Jesus stuff in it. It turns out it's not actually that true. It's a little bit true. Because country music is about telling stories. It's about rural life, farm life. It's about work and family and those sort of things. And religion is in that culture. If you take a look at it, most of the time, the type of religious imagery or messages that they'll include in the song aren't really tied to any specific doctrine. When Johnny Cash sings about Monteagle Mountain and how the devil wants your soul, that's not doctrinally sound. If you're saved, you're saved. You know, the devil's not going to get your soul just because you lost control of your truck on a mountain. And what we're really talking about there is kind of folk religion. And it's not dramatically different from, talking about Zeus or Thor when you get down to that area. Certainly there's some clear talk about religion and stuff, but it struck me as strange. Why do I give a pass? I love Highway to Hell. I love Sympathy for the Devil. Oh, well, they're not being serious about it. Okay, what about James Taylor in Fire and Rain, probably one of the most popular songs he's ever done? You got to look down upon me, Jesus. You got to help me make a stand. You got to see me through another day. And he ends that verse with, I can't make it any other way. He's basically giving credence to the idea that there's no atheist in foxholes, that when times get tough, you need Jesus. Nobody's going to beat James Taylor up over that. Nobody's going to listen to that song. No, very few atheists will probably listen to that song and say, oh, I can't listen to James Taylor anymore because he mentioned Jesus. There's something we give a pass to Taylor about, saying he's lamenting how difficult his life is. We ignore the atheist in foxhole aspect of it and just go, man, that's a pretty song, and oh my gosh, how sad was he when this happened. If that had been in a country song with somebody with an accent, which I think a lot of hatred about country music is about accent shaming and culture shaming. This is the South. These are uneducated rednecks who can't speak properly. They're the racists. They're the ignorant backwoods hillbilly folks. So it's okay to make fun of them and their music. I'm going to talk a little bit about that on Sunday. But I just started recognizing hypocrisy. When the Doobie Brothers sing Jesus is just all right with me, I don't go, oh, I can't listen to this crap and turn it off. Yeah. But I will when, Jesus Takes the Wheel come on. I do it the same as anybody else does. So I'm as much a hypocrite as it's one of the reasons why I'm going to talk about it.
But what about with this one song that's come under fire, at least on the social media aspect, has been God Made Girls.
Somebody told me about that today. I actually have not heard of it.
Oh, really?
I've done nothing but listen to country music in the car for the last month or so, just so that it's in my head ready for the debate. Because I like all kinds of music. But I've got satellite radio in the car. There's 5 or 6 country stations back to back. And when a country song comes on I don't like, I just move to the next one. So I haven't heard the song. I'm kind of looking forward to it. I've heard that, oh my gosh, this is terrible. And there's lots of terrible country music. There's lots of terrible religious themes. Probably more in country than there are in some other genres. But I can't comment on that one song.
Yeah, I know that it's pretty misogynistic, or at least maybe not misogynistic, but very patriarchal, I'd say, because she talks about how God made girls to cook and clean and all this other stuff, and it's coming from a woman, so it's just kind of
funny. She's not cooking, cleaning while she's being a performing artist,
right.
I'll talk about this on Sunday too. People have perception of country music that's in fact wrong. You talk about girl bands. Nobody talks about girl bands in country. Dixie Chicks don't tend to get referred to as a girl band. And the reason is, it's no surprise that there's women in country music. There have been incredibly powerful women in country music. Loretta Lynn, Dolly Parton, Reba McEntire, Carrie Underwood, Kelly Clarkson. Just go on naming it. If you go on Google and look up greatest pop artists or greatest rock artists, Google will pull up a list of like the 100 most mentioned. There's one woman at number 26 is where we get to the first woman, and that's Madonna. In the top 50, it's only Madonna and Aretha Franklin. Out to the top 100, I think there might be one more woman on the list. Do the same thing with regard to country music, and you get a lot more women, and you get a lot more range. The thing a lot of people don't know is the progressive aspects of country music that help change things. Loretta Lynn had somewhere between 9 and 14 songs that were banned on the radio, including a song about a girl losing her virginity, a song called Rated X about the double standard, about how divorced women are treated versus divorced men, and the big one, which is called The Pill, where she sang about how, every year that we've been together, a new baby showed up, and now I'm throwing out my maternity garb, and I'm getting some mini skirts and stuff, because you've set this chicken one last time, because now I've got the pill. It's about birth control. It was banned, and yet it still became a massive hit for her, despite the fact they wouldn't play it on the radio. You have songs about strong women saying, nope. Well, Loretta Lynn again, don't come home drinking with cheating on with loving on your mind. There's a lot of songs about cheating. There's songs about women women singing about themselves being the cheater. Women standing up and saying, no, you're not going to cheat me, you're not going to beat me. There are strong themes in country music with women. If there's one area where country is especially weak, it's in racial diversity. But the same's kind of true a little bit in rock. In country, you've got Darius Rucker and Charlie Pride, and that's about it. In rock, you've got a handful. You certainly have more. But the view is that country music is a boys' game with, let's drink and party and blah, 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 and sing about Jesus. There's a country song my wife told me about where the guy loses his virginity and gets saved all in the same song. People will rag on Toby Keith, and he may in fact be a terrible person. I don't know. I certainly disagree with him on some politics. But you've got a guy who talks about Jesus and sings songs, and yet talks about religion, and yet has a song where he has sex with twin sisters. I love this bar. Let me get my drink on and smoke weed with Willie. I'll never smoke weed with Willie again. It's an amazingly fun song. And those are some of his big hits. So when I was a Southern Baptist, country music was just as bad as rock. It was all secular. It was all, encouraging sin. And you didn't have to look hard. It was all about whiskey. How many country songs are about drinking? Like tons of them. I mean, George Jones, the first big hit, or one of his first big hits was White Lightning, which is an amazing song. If you take his vocals out of that and just play the music, you have what sounds like Jerry Lee Lewis on the piano and what sounds like Chuck Berry on the guitar doing something rock-like. But because you put George's voice in there with the twang and he's singing about moonshine, all of a sudden it's country. I think if you remove the vocals from every country song and played them for people, I think most people would have a hard time figuring out what's country and what's not. And that's why I think a lot of it has to do with kind of the cultural and accent shaming.
Yeah.
You just sound like an idiot. And that's a bias we need to get rid of.
Yeah.
My wife has an amazing accent from Tennessee. She's got a master's in microbiology. Smart, sharp as a tack. She hates it when people start getting on accents, which is probably how I got into this debate the first time. Yeah. So there's a long answer to something you didn't even want to know.
Well, I'm kind of curious, like, if you could say something to JT right now, pre-debate, what would you say to him? concerning country music.
Oh, I was just going to go with "I love you" because we're friends, and this is for fun. The thing is, at some point, we're going to have to make a joint statement because some people just didn't understand this.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that we did over-the-top promos, in character, somebody was like, "Oh, Matt, what's up with all the ad hominems? I thought you liked JT." They just weren't getting it. The only mistake that JT made, and this is something that I already know he'll correct when we have the debate, is he made just a broad-based, generalized, objective a statement that seems that you could make an objective declaration about art. And I don't buy that. Oh, country music sucks. Well, then he wants to exclude. I said, what about Johnny Cash? Well, Johnny Cash, no, he doesn't. All right, what about bluegrass? Well, I'm not including bluegrass. What about Western? No, I'm not including Western. And then he's not including old country music. He's only including, so now he's got it narrowed down to some modern country music. So he's whittled this down to the country music that sucks. So that's a tautology.
Yeah.
And it's still, even then, it's still an opinion. And my goal is not to convince everybody to like country music. My goal is to show them that you shouldn't be making claims that something objectively sucks if really what you mean is I don't like it. And it's entirely fine for you to like whatever you like or don't. But also I'm hoping to make people aware of some things that they might not have known about country music. Because a lot of people just write it off instantly. I'm not suggesting everybody go out and love it. But Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? It was one of the biggest movies, amazing soundtrack, almost entirely bluegrass, which a lot of people will put bluegrass and country in completely different categories. I think they're cousin categories, but people loved it.
Yeah. Have you heard of, there's a cover band out there called Hayseed Dixie?
No.
It's an AC/DC bluegrass band.
Yes. Are they the ones that did Thunderstruck with the anvil?
Probably.
They did a live video of it. It may not be the same guys, but that was great. Yeah,
well, I know that my uncle, he had an album that was Hayseed Dixie, where it's AC/DC, but bluegrass.
I heard a mashup by, I'm going to forget the name of the group. I put it on my phone. They took a Zeppelin song and Folsom Prison Blues, which have the same chord progression, and mashed it up perfectly and sang it. It's great. I'm going to talk a little bit about crossover stuff, not just crossover rock to country, country to rock, but how some things have actually fused together. You're hearing more rap in country. You are hearing more heavy metal type guitar in country. And one of the cool things, and I'm going to end the whole debate with this, as we leave, there's a band out of Austin. They're no longer together, but they were for years, called the Gourds. And they are a full-on mandolin-based kind of bluegrass thing. But in addition to their own original music and some bluegrass standards, they've done covers of Ziggy Stardust. And my favorite, they've done a cover of Snoop Dogg's Gin and Juice. It's, for me, and I love Snoop, I think their version is better. And I'm going to close out the debate by playing that.
Yeah, well, I guess it'd be kind of like, you know how Johnny Cash took over that 9 Inch Nails song, Hurt? Yeah. I thought Johnny Cash did a whole lot better on Hurt.
Yeah, well, he completely changed the song. And despite the fact that, he was ancient when he did it, he couldn't, I think because of the fact that he couldn't sing the way he used to, that added an element to it. The way the video was shot added an element to it. I love 9 Inch Nails. I listen to the hell out of some 9 Inch Nails. I agree. I think Johnny Cash's version of Hurt was better than Trent's. And I think Trent might.
I think I remember him saying that. Yeah, that he I think he actually said that now that is Johnny Cash's song because he did so well with it. But I might be wrong. But to kind of transition off of your debate with JT, which I hate that I'm not going to be here for it actually because I've got a 10-hour drive back home and I've got to be at work on Monday. So yeah.